seen wood slices in the store, especially this time of the year, but you're not quite sure what to do with them? Well, you're in luck. Hi, my name is Leslie, and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 Christmas ideas that you can make using wood slices and just another item or two from the Dollar Tree. Now, if you stick around to the very end, I'm going to give you a sneak peek into one of the projects we're making next week. So I'll see you then. Now, let's get started. I'm so excited to get started with project number 1, and here's what you're going to need. Some wood slices, some beads or something to use for spacers, something for a base, some skewers or dowel to hold the tree up, some wood glue, something for decor, for a topper and for around the tree, and a drill. Now I went through the wood slices and I stacked them up so that I thought they looked like a Christmas tree. And then I added some beads onto this skewer so I could measure how long I needed the skewer to be. And then I started drilling holes through the center of each of the layers. When I got to the base layer, I didn't drill the hole all the way through so that I could glue that skewer inside the hole and it would stay. Now, if you don't have a drill, then you could probably do the same thing using a large nail and a hammer and just nailing a hole through there. It might be a little more difficult with the base, but I know you can do it. Once you've got all the holes drilled, then it's just a matter of assembly, starting with the base, and then I added a layer of glue in between each piece. The spacers, so it's just going to be slice, spacer, slice, spacer until you get to the very last slice. And then you will add on the little tree topper. The tree topper that I used is a little wooden angel that I got from Dollar Tree, but you could use any tree topper you wanted. If you wanted to put a star up there or a Santa or whatever your heart's desire. You could even put a flower or a bow. And after that's done, then I just started decorating it. Now I started with a fairy lights that I bought on Amazon. They come in a package of like 10 or 12 or something, and I love them because it doesn't require large AAA or AA batteries, and the little switch to turn it on is just tiny and easy to hide. And then I add on these little berry garland to add on like little ornaments. I just thought it'd be the easiest way to decorate this. And then we are complete. This is so quick and easy, and I just love how it turns out, and it's just the cutest little rustic Christmas tree. Let's get started on project number 2. This is also really quick and easy. Well, probably more easy than quick, because once you get this all situated, you have to let it dry overnight. But it's just a wood slice and whatever photo you want to use, a little Mod Podge that you're going to spread in a really nice layer on top of this wood slice. Now make sure when you print your picture that if it's got items with words or whatnot that you mirror the image, because you are going to place this picture face down on top of this Mod Podge. I made sure that it was secure by taking the Cricut scraper tool and scraping off the excess Mod Podge and pushing it down to that wood slice. Let it dry overnight and then just come back with a little spray bottle of water and give it a nice little soaking, and then lightly rub your finger over top of the paper and the top coat of paper will come off, leaving you a beautiful picture. The harder you rub, the more distressed the photo will look when you're finished. If you rub just a little bit lighter, then it'll leave more brilliant colors. And after I got all the things off that I wanted off and it was looking the way I wanted it to look, then I added some Mod Podge on top, drilled a hole to make it into an ornament, and this project is complete. I'm actually using this one as a gift, so don't ruin the surprise. We are ready for project number 3. I think this one just turned out so cute. I'm showing you another idea that you can use as far as making wood slice ornaments. This one we are going to be wood burning. Now I've tried all kinds of wood burning products, but I like this torch paste the best. So I'm going to take my Cricut stencil material and I printed a design on it. Now when you are weeding a stencil, then you need to weed it backwards. So take out the pieces that you would normally leave, which is what we're going to wood burn onto this wood slice. Now if you don't have a Cricut, you can always pick a stencil up. I've seen some at Dollar Tree recently. You can get them at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or even Amazon, and just pick a stencil that you like and put it on top of this wood slice. Once you've gotten your stencil on there, then you're going to take that torch paste and an applicator of some sort, and you will put the torch paste on where you would normally put paint if you were stenciling, and then you will need to make sure and scrape it down really well, because you don't want a very thick layer. You want actually a very thin layer that will help it to burn properly, and then you will let it sit for 2 minutes after you get the torch paste on there so that it can set before you take your stencil off. Be careful taking your stencil off so that you don't leave any of that torch paste in places that it shouldn't be. And then you'll take your heat gun and you'll run it over the torch paste until your design appears. Now the closer you get your heat gun to the torch paste, the quicker your design will appear, but don't put it too far down because otherwise you will burn your tool. Now you're not going to be able to use a blow dryer with this torch paste. It's got to get hot enough. So then I drilled a hole and added a string, and this ornament is complete. And that brings us to project number 4. Did you know that you could use heat transfer vinyl on wood? I'm going to show you how. So you'll need all the same tools that you would need if you were putting heat transfer vinyl on anything else. And I'm going to set my Cricut Easy Press at 300 degrees for 40 seconds. Now you'll see as I get started here that wasn't near hot enough and it wasn't near long enough, and I probably should have heated my wood up a little bit better. But here I am weeding out that heat transfer vinyl, and it's a little bit more difficult, I think, to weed out than a regular vinyl. So to get started, I used my little weeding tool to pull off an edge. Now once I've got that all weeded out, then I am going to heat up my wood piece for about 15 seconds, which probably wasn't long enough. And then I am going to put my piece down on top of a piece of cardstock and then add a piece of parchment paper or baker's paper, and then I'm going to hold it down for 40 seconds. Now when I try to take it off the first time, it doesn't come, and I actually did it another time at 300 degrees and it still wouldn't come off, and so I increased the heat, which you'll see next, up to 315 degrees for 40 seconds, and that finally did the trick.
I don't know if I would have started at 315 degrees if 40 seconds would have been long enough, but I am going to seal my project in, put the parchment paper back on top and leave it for another 40 seconds and just make sure it's all good and attached to this piece of wood, and then add a hole and the twine, and this ornament is complete. And now we are at project number 5. I am making some coasters using that same torch paste method that I used before, and using the Cricut stencil vinyl. I'm going to backwards weed, so weeding out the parts that I want to see on the with the torch paste, or that I want burned into my wood. Now, one of the things that I discovered as I was doing this was that my husband had just recently cut all these wood slices for me. I think I told you we lost a couple of pine trees. So out of some of that pine and a few other pieces of wood we had laying around. And so they weren't totally dry, but as I was using my heat gun to put this transfer onto this wood slice, it actually dried the wood the rest of the way out, and it made my wood slice very hard. So I'm really excited to be able to gift these as coasters this year. After you got that stencil set, then you're going to put a very light coat of torch paste on there and let it dry for the 2 minutes, and then come back in with your heat gun. And you'll repeat this process for all 4 coasters. When you get done with all 4 of these, then you're going to want to take them outside and spray them with a polyacrylic. I did 3 layers and sanded between each layer, and that gave them a nice protective coating to be used as coasters. I think they turned out so cute, and I can't wait to gift them. And it's time to move into project number 6. You know, when you make all those items for your tiered trays, sometimes you need little risers, and I thought these wood slices were the perfect size for little risers on a tiered tray. So I am going to be using some different beads and these little snowman wood things I got from Dollar Tree, and make 3 little risers for each of the wood slices. Now, I thought the snowmen were a little bit too big, and so I cut them down. I think I just cut their hats off and then sanded them off, and then gave everything a nice little coating of antique wax by Waverly. Now, if you don't have antique wax, you could also use just stain. And then I'm going to take a combination of wood glue by Super Glue from Dollar Tree and wood hot glue and secure these beads into place. I don't anticipate putting anything heavy on them, but I wanted to make sure that they were sturdy just in case. And look how cute these turned out. I think they'll make the perfect addition to a tiered tray or rustic decor anywhere in your house.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click that bell so that you'll be notified next time I release a video.
And check out this cute little wood slice melted snowman that we're making for project number 7. I found two snowmen that had all the pieces that I wanted on them already, and so I decided to use that instead of making one out of clay, but you could just easily make one out of clay as well, and then find something for a hat. I bought the one on the left from Walmart for $2 and the one on the right from Dollar Tree for $1.25. I liked the Walmart one better because I liked the hat on it better, but other than that, they were pretty identical. So after I got the head removed and the scarf off, then I'm going to give this a nice little coat of white chalk paint by Waverly just to set the stage for Melting Snowman. And then I am going to take some white hot glue and glue his head on that little imperfection in this wood slice. Once I've got his head glued on, I had originally planned to use that white hot glue to also make the melty part of the snowman, but I found this fabric paint and decided to use it instead. It might have been a bad move, but here I did it anyway. I really thought I had puff paint, but it wasn't puff paint. So here I am taking a couple of twigs and breaking them down into little snowman arms and attaching those with some of that hot glue. And it didn't stick really well the first time because that fabric paint was still wet and cold, and it kind of hardened the hot glue before it really got a chance to stick. But I stuck it into that paint and figured that would hold it anyway. And then I'm using these little dots I got from Hobby Lobby, and this turned into a mess. I had to get the paint off, and then the paint was sticking to my fingers, and then I was trying to use these little tools to stick it on there, and that wasn't working, and it was a mess trying to get these little buttons on, but I think they turned out okay after all the shenanigans here trying to get them on. And I really like the way the final project turned out. So I'm using the smallest three. I thought about taking the buttons off of that Dollar Tree snowman and using those, or I suppose I could have, found some other buttons, or I could have just waited until the paint dried and then used my paint markers and drew little buttons on there. But instead, I decided to make this work. So there we are, three little buttons. And then I am going to write on here, "Oh, snow, I'm having a meltdown." I'm not a really big fan of my handwriting, but I didn't think there was another option for this, so I made it work. And I think it turned out so, so, so cute. I just love it, and I hope you do too. Okay, it's on to project number 8, and this is another super cute and easy one to add to your rustic Christmas decor. You'll need a frame from the Dollar Tree. I liked this wood frame one with the tin on it, and some wood slices and a photo and some glue, and let's get started. So the first thing I did was to cut a picture to size that I liked. It was Christmassy and rustic, and I thought kind of went with the whole decor. And then I added it onto a piece of white cardstock to just give it a nice little border and set it apart. And I wanted to rustic it up a little bit, so I used my brown ink pad from Hobby Lobby and rubbed it along those edges just a little bit. And then I took my small little wood slices and I added those around the border, making sure that I left enough room at the bottom for the frame stand to still be able to stand up. And then I took wood hot glue and glued them on. Now these tiny wood slices I got at Hobby Lobby in their little wood section, and I paid $2.25 for the whole bag. My husband said he could have cut me some, but I didn't tell him that I was wanting to use these smaller pieces, so he only cut me the bigger pieces and some of the really large pieces, which one I'll be using next week on a project we are doing then. So I am just going to take these and glue them on, and then I decided that aluminum metal piece was just a little too stark for me, and so I took some Waverly white chalk paint. Actually, I think this is Folk Art white chalk paint, and I just dry brushed on a little, just kind of taking the glare off of that metal, and I thought that what made the perfect snowy type background to that photo. And then I finished adding on all my wood rounds around the outside of this frame, and this project will be complete. And that brings us to project 9, another really cute rustic piece. All you're going to need is a Dollar Tree mirror and some wood slices and some hot glue, and I used my wood hot glue. And you're just going to arrange these wood slices around that mirror so that you can touch the inside part of the frame around the mirror, but not the mirror itself, and just make this cute little rustic piece. And that's all it is to it, just gluing it down. And I did 2 different layers so that it covered up all the black. Then I decided that black was just a little bit too stark for me against that wood grain, and so I took some antique gold rub and buff and added it around the black frame to kind of tone it down a little bit. And then I will flip this over and add a little twine hanger on the back, and that will be that. I just love the way this turned out. And that takes us into project number 10. I love this wood slice wreath. And here is the first one that I made. I did not use something in the center to make sure that it stayed round. And so here I have 2 things that I'm using to keep its round shape. The first is that embroidery hoop that I have there in the middle, and that's just kind of my outside visual to make sure that as I'm gluing the pieces together, they stay in the round shape. Underneath that, you can't see it right now, but you will see it in a little bit, is a metal wreath frame that I bought at Dollar Tree. Now they come kind of humped over, and so I smashed it down and made it flat. See, I guess you could see a little bit of it right there, and use that as my little piece to hold all this together. Now I'm going to glue the top layer to the next layer, and then I'll go back in a minute and I'll secure that wire frame to the back side. Now, as I'm gluing this all together, I'm just making sure again, because I've already had the one faux pas, that it does keep that round shape, and I think that helps it turn out even more cute. So I'm just using that wood hot glue and giving it a nice generous amount and making sure that each piece stays put and is stuck thoroughly before I move on to the next piece. And I'll go all the way around and make sure that those are all secure. I use two different kinds of wood slices on this. The darker wood mixed with the lighter wood, and I just think it turned out so cute. But I ran out of the dark wood slices, and my husband wasn't here to make me some more, so I used that one other colored wood slice on the top, which I will cover up in a minute so you won't see it anyway. So after I've gotten all those then secure, I'm going to start on the bow. So get ready for that. All right, so now I'm going to take my electric staple gun and I am going to staple this metal frame down to the wood pieces and make sure that it's secure. That gives me extra security to hold all the wood slices together, but it'll also give me something to create a hanger with at the very end. Now, some of these staples didn't want to go where they should, but I went all the way around and got them all done. And now we're going to start working on the bow. There's three different kinds of ribbon. This is just an actual burlap row, and I cut everything to 24 inches long. And I made 2 of the burlap and then 4 of the black buffalo check and 3 of the white, and I'm not sure what it is, kind of ribbon from Dollar Tree. I found it in their floral section during the spring, but I just love it, and I wished I'd gotten more of it. It's kind of a meshy kind of looking ribbon. And I only did 3, honestly, because I ran out. And so I cut the third piece, and then all I had left was a little bit, and it wasn't enough to make a 4th piece. And so I just made it into a little bow that you'll see off to the side. And then I pinched them together at 6 inches and gathered them each side so that I had tails and then attached it. This time I just used a little piece of twine to attach them together. And then I'll take that buffalo check and also pinch it off at 6 inches. And then I'll grab the second one and pinch it off at 6 inches. And I'm wrapping the tails around so that they go on either side of that centerpiece. And then I'll attach it to the other grouping with that twine and pinch off the last buffalo check and add that as well. And now we're going to add the burlap. I just folded it in half. You can see one side in to the middle, and made it into kind of a bow without tails. The other ribbons are each 2.5 inches, and this is actually 4 or 5 inches. And so I didn't want to use the tails behind for it. So I just secured each piece of this burlap with its own piece of twine and kind of fluffed it out, and then I'll crisscross them over and add them to the back side of the bow. Once I've finished with that, then I am going to dovetail the ends of the buffalo check and just crisscross the ends of that mesh ribbon and finish out my bow. Now I'm going to secure down some lamb's ear that I bought at Walmart along with my bow with some zip ties, and that will complete this project. I just love the way it turned out, and I know exactly who's getting this for Christmas.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really did enjoy our time together. Now, if you'll remember, I was going to give you a sneak peek into next week's project. Are you ready? Isn't he so cute? Well, until then, make it a great day and Happy Tuesday!